Hey guys, welcome back to Dislyte. In today's video, over on my free-to-play account where I'm trying to do everything, just building, those free-to-play farmable units that everyone can get. And my latest build has been Leon. I've been working on like a free-to-play speed team for Kronos 10 because, speed teams are really important when you get to the stage of, using those boosters where you get, increased drops from your relic farming, and you want to do those battles fast so that you can make the most of what you're actually doing. So that's why I looked towards Leon. Now, there are some other options that I could have gone with, and there is definitely other ways to go about this. But what I want to go through in this video is my sort of free-to-play speed team that I'm using. I think my record's like 49 seconds or something like that, which does require some RNG. But also then I want to talk about how I would evolve this team as you get better relics, better units, and stuff like that. I'll show you guys all my relics and all that stuff as well, so you can see what I'm sort of playing with here. So this time, unfortunately, that run, we missed both of our debuffs, so accuracy is something that's going to help you along the way. So I missed my defense break with the Drew, and then I also missed Leon's mark, meaning I lose all my damage amplification in this run. So Kronos is going to get an attack in this one. He's not going to actually kill anyone, so we're going to be pretty fine, and we should last until we might only have 2 units to kill him at the end, but we will be fine nonetheless, and we will go ahead and wipe him. Leon should get the kill here. And away we go. So that is like a bad RNG run of this team. We'll let one more full run go through. Then we'll come back at the end of the 10 run, see what our best time, our average time is, and then I'll talk about the turn order, because the turn order is like a pretty important thing in this as well. Now, Leon is not something you have to have. He just, as a free-to-play unit, seemed really good. The core 3 units in this one that really make it work are going to be Li Ling, Drew, and also Dahlia. Now, the way it works here is turn 1, Dahlia is going to boost, then Li Ling's going to go. And this is turn order. I want Unki Chai to be after those 2. Ideally, that's the way we want it to go, because then in this turn, we can use Dahlia again, and then we can use the AoE again here. And then if Drew's lucky enough, yes, he got it. So Drew should have his ult ready, and he go boom, boom, boom. And as you can see, we kill them all. So with that is a really quick round, 4 turns each one to get away and do it. Now, ideally in this one, Unki Chai can reset. Okay, good. We got a reset on the Dahlia, so she's going to use her boost next turn. So we didn't have attack buff for those 2 attacks, which is kind of a downfall of the team. But, it is what it is. You got to make the most with what you have. Now, Drew's going to use his ult. Then we're going to go into a single attack here, and unfortunately, we just missed it. So if we got a bit better RNG, we could have done that 1 attack quicker, but that is a pretty fast run through of this speed team. So let's go ahead and check and see what time. I think that's going to be around 50 to 55 seconds, I believe. What do we get? Yeah, so 54 seconds. So we can get a little bit better RNG and work a bit faster, but this does depend on Unki Chai. So when I talk about turn order in this team, I like Unki Chai going after the Li Ling. Now, the reason I have this turn order is obviously Dahlia wants to be the fastest. You want to get that boost as much as possible. Then we want to go into Li Ling because his AoE brings the enemies low enough to a point where that Drew will use his ultimate and kill all of them. And then Unki Chai after him, so that we have a chance for Unki Chai to actually give cooldown reductions on both Dahlia and Li Ling to allow us to do that exact same turn order on the second wave. So there is a chance in this team, like that previous run we saw, where you can do a 4-turn kill of both waves and then roll into the boss, which is really, really nice. As you can see, this one didn't work out as properly. Unki Chai, he's a bit funny. So I really like Unki Chai if you don't have that many good damage sets, because you can put him in there instead of another damage dealer and still get some good RNG for some really fast runs. But he also does make it pretty reliable on top of that with the cooldown reduction. So I think Unki Chai is fantastic for entry-level speed teams because he makes it decently reliable, but also pretty fast. So this one's going to hit Leon and he's going to die. That's the one problem with my Leon, is he needs a bit more chunkier stats, because as he is at the moment, if the rock does drop, if we get that bad RNG in the second wave and the rock does drop on him, he's gonna die, because with the bad RNG in the second wave, what happens is he gets hit the hardest, meaning he's got the lowest HP, and then he does drop. However, it doesn't matter, because we do bring that much damage. We can survive a second ult from the boss, getting a rock and then a scream. That's what I call them. And we can still go ahead and kill the boss. So I've done about 50 runs with this team, had 2 fails. So, you know, it's pretty reliable, and that's the way it works. But like I said, the core team members for this team, I really love having Li Ling, Drew, and what's her face, Dahlia, because Drew is fantastic at clearing waves with his ultimate. It's so strong. On top of that, the 2-turn cooldown on his armor break and the AI with his armor break. I've found with Drew, his AI, when the enemy is above 50% health, he won't use his ultimate. So when you get to the boss, even if his ultimate is off of cooldown, Drew is going to use his armor break, which is really good because that's ideally what you want to happen, because you want to get that armor break. And then Leon, if Leon has attack buff and the enemy and the boss has armor break, he'll normally hit the boss for around 30% of his health, which is a pretty good chunk. And I'll show you my relics because my Leon doesn't have the greatest relics yet, but that's pretty much what I want to show you. That's the basics of the team. Like I said, I explained the waves, how they work, and the ideal rotation there. Anki Chai, fantastic if you don't have another damage dealer. Now, the one thing I would like to test with this is to evolve this team, is to swap Anki Chai out for something like a Lin Xiao. Unfortunately, I don't have a Lin Xiao on this account. I'd like to do that and test it for like 50 runs and see what the RNG pans out and how that works out. I would also really like to try with, like, you know, some more ocean wave sets on different characters, just to see if you can get those cooldown reductions to get better timing and get things to work a bit better. But you know, it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. Now, if we get reductions here, okay, we didn't go into the boost. So this is sort of like a mid-range, about minute 10, minute 15 type run, which is still not too bad. You can see that revenge from the Leon still hits really hard when we've got the mark, and we've also, what do they call it now? Sear? When we've got the Sear, and also we've got the armor break. So we just have a lot of damage in this team, and it works really well. So what I want to do is show you my relics and talk about when you can actually jump into trying to do something like this, because you're not going to just jump in and build this instantly. So let's check out the time that we did on that one. Okay, minute 24, so that's in the slower end of runs. But let's bounce out. I'll go ahead and show you my relics now, and talk about it. So here we go. If we go into Espers, my Li Ling. So my Li Ling is on a Windwalker set. Now the sets aren't important. What's important is turn order and having decent speed. So you can see this is still at 13. I just ran out of gold. So, you know, this one's still at 13. I will take that to 15 eventually, and allow him to go a little bit faster. He's my second fastest. He's never going to reach the speed of my Dahlia. So if I get him faster, it doesn't matter. Eventually, maybe I can change him onto like a War Machine set for some more damage or something like that. But at the moment, that is what he's on. He's on the crit damage and attack and speed. Now, he does have decent accuracy through substats as well at 48, which is really nice, so you can steal that gauge and get more turns and deal more damage. But that's his relics at the moment. So then we move past that. Now, I did take, the funny thing is, when you saw on wave 2, when the RNG works right, and when I get to, on wave 2, use Dahlia into him, into Drew, I had a problem where Drew would leave the big boss enemy at like 3 HP. So I actually went ahead and made this from 12 to 15 to get the attack boost. Literally that much attack from 12 to 15 is what got me across the line for Drew being able to actually delete the ads in the second wave with the right RNG. So that was a bit of a lucky play. Moving on, this is what my Drew has always been on. Now, Drew with this, I do still like him on the Hades set, because as you saw in some of the runs when the RNG goes bad, we do get hit by the boss, and without him being able to heal up, we would be struggling more in those bad RNG runs. So I really do like the Hades set on him for here. Li Ling obviously has his second ability, which can heal him up as well. So that really works really well. So when we get bad RNG and the boss is going to kill the Leon is the only one that the boss can kill with his rock from all my testing. So if it drops on Leon, we're still fine because we can heal up and then we can last another ult from the boss. If it lands on anyone else, we're fine because the boss doesn't do a second ult. We just kill him. So that's why it works with those two. Like my Drew, I think he's on a pretty decent set of relics. His crit damage could, you know, go up a bit more, but he is on 100% crit rate. He's got plus 65 speed, which could go up more because he's got really low base speed. So I'd love to have him faster, but all in all, it's pretty fine. And when you're looking at speed runs, speed isn't as important. Like, you could have them lower and try and go for a super fast run just by having more damage. But for reliability in speed runs, having more speed on your characters makes the runs more reliable. So for the fastest run, you're going to have less speed, but for a reliable, steady speed run that you'll use more often, I like having a bit of extra speed. Then we have Leon. So Leon in here, as you can see, he's really poorly geared. This is still at, wait, let's see if we can get this. Let's see if we can get this. Let's see what this rolls to. But yeah, he's on the Windwalker set. Really doesn't... Ideally, you'd like him on the Hammer of Thor set, getting him that extra crit damage. Now, I'll talk a little bit about his kit in a sec. Can we please get this? Thank you. What do we get? Piss off, flat. Like, literally... 3 good substats. We need accuracy on him for his for his seer. We want a little bit of speed and we want crit damage. We get 2 rolls into HP. Screw that. I'm pissed. anyway, that is Leon. So the thing about Leon is you just want to stack crit damage. Literally all you want, because when you're going for those fast runs, you just want him to use the 3rd ability and nuke the hell out of the boss, because this ability, when you get him awakened, this attack has a 100% more likely chance to trigger a crit if the target is affected by debuffs. So obviously the debuffs in the team that we do have, we've got the slow by Dahlia and we've also got the armor break by Drew. Ideally what happens on the boss is we get the attack buff, we get the armor break, and then we just nuke the hell out of him with this. Deals like 30 to 40% of his health, and then puts the mark on and lets the rest of the damage that we deal increase by 25%, and we can wipe him quicker. So him, I didn't really care about crit rate. I still haven't actually got him to max Ascension yet, which will give him some extra crit rate, which is just, you know, I'm never going to gear him for crit rate. As you can see, I've got plus 15. But, you know, if he does crit, his basic attack does some nice damage as well. Keeping in mind, we do have Dahlia on the team, which is going to increase that by 30%, which is going to bring him up to, when he's got the buff, what's that, 55% crit rate, plus once I get his next Ascension, that'll bring him to 60, what's that, yeah, 60%, 70% crit rate after the Dahlia buff, which isn't too bad. Plus he has elemental advantage. So honestly, crit rate is just not even an issue for this guy when you're just building him for Kronos. You want to stack the crit damage as high as possible. So like Hammer of Thor and stuff like that would be ideal. I just like tried to slap together a damage set with the best crit damage substats that I could find. You know, I didn't have much. So Leon can definitely get an improve. I definitely think this guy, geared right, could be hitting the boss for like 50% of his HP, which would be really sick. And then who else was on the team? We've got my Dahlia. Obviously, Dahlia is just on my fast set. Like, literally, she's just on my fastest set. Doesn't even matter what it is. That's for PvP, and I just haven't changed her. So these are just my relics with the faster speed substats, and that's all there is to it. Like, there's no other gearing that went into her. More accuracy would be ideal. Having her on like crit damage, attack, speed with some crit subs and stuff would be nice, just to get some extra little damage. But this also does help her survive if she gets the rock dropped on her. It doesn't really matter. I'm always just going to have Dahlia on the fastest set of relics I have, and that's what it is at the moment. And then the final unit that we do have is Unki Chai. And as you can see, I've got him on Ocean Waves just because if you look at his speed, he's at 182 speed. If we look at my Li Ling here, he's at 185. I just wanted Unki Chai to be a little bit slower than Li Ling, but faster than my Drew. And because to get him to that sort of speed range, it was going to be a waste putting him on a Windwalker when I was going to have a speed in this slot. So I thought the Ocean Waves, you know, to get the cooldown reduction on his abilities so that we can reduce everyone else's cooldowns would be really nice. So that's what I ended up throwing him on. You can see we got 8 speed sub, 4 speed sub, 8, 8. And then, you know, these ones that he doesn't have like amazing relics. This is just spare stuff that I slapped on him. And that's where we got him to. I just want him at that speed rating. Literally the rest of the stats I do not care about. Ideally, you just gear him chunky with HP and defense so he can survive if a rock drops on him. But the rest is just him being in the ideal speed range for the speed tuning that you're going for. And then the rest just happens. So that is it for the team. Like I said, once you get more good damage sets, I feel like we can drop Unki Chai and bring in another good damage dealer. If you're looking for replacements for these units, the key things you want is like AoEs with single target damage. So Lin Xiao is fantastic if you have her. She's got the AoE armor break with speed debuff on a 3-turn cooldown with max skills. Then she's got a heavy nuke on her second skill. I think she's going to be fantastic in this. If I do pull her on this free-to-play account, I will test that because I'm keen to test it. Li Ling's fantastic. Got the AoE with big damage. Also got the gauge stealing. Also got some self-healing. Also has the heavy single target damage. So he's just a beast for this as well. So those two, really good. But for replacements, you know, look for AoE damage, single target damage. You need armor breaks and stuff like that is what I would be looking for. But if you're looking for just free-to-play units, like I said, this team does work pretty decently. let's go ahead and check out the completed 10 run and look at the average speed. So that was another slow run there at 1:23. You can see the best record was 53 seconds, average time 1:19. All in all, pretty decent, 10 out of 10 wins. Like I said, that's 60 runs now for 2 losses. It's a pretty reliable team, and like I said, some of my relics are pretty average when we look at my Unki Chai and my Leon, and then obviously my Dahlia. I feel like Dahlia you could slow down and put her on a more ideal gear set, but you know, it works fine just with her on the fastest set, and we can get away with it. Now, did we get any good relics? Did we get any good at least out of that? No, we did not. Rip. Let's just sell it. Actually, I'll go through and check them again. But that is going to be it for the speed team, the free-to-play speed team. Like I said, put other units that you have in. I think Lin Zhao, I think the Flow Twin would be really good for this. He has, I believe he has Seer, he has Armor Break, and he has Speed Slow. I think it is. So he's got a really nice kit for this as well that I'd like to test. I do have him on this account, so I may eventually build him and test him in this. But once again, that is what we did. It's working pretty well. I'm now in a place where I'm happy at these type of speed runs with this reliability to go ahead and pop my relic boosters to try and get some more relics from Kronos. Hopefully, we can one day get some decent speed rolls on this account. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.